if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
Yeah, but we've also heard that there's some secret lawsuit going on in New York City as it relates to Diddy, too. I don't know if
the courtroom was buzzing. Cameras flashed, reporters jostled for position, and spectators whispered in eager anticipation. Everyone was waiting for one thing: how Sean Combs would react as 50 Cent's bombshell Netflix documentary about his alleged crimes was about to make its impact known in front of the world. And what happened next? It was something no one could have predicted. Diddy, the once untouchable music mogul, collapsed right there in court. But how did it come to this? How did one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop find himself at the center of one of the biggest scandals in entertainment history?
Personally, I've never met Diddy a day in my life, but when you do wrong, it comes back on you. So none of us should be surprised.
So the answer, as it turns out, lies in a tangled web of accusations, rivalries, and explosive revelations. So at the heart of it all is a man who has never been afraid to call out the industry's darkest secrets, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. For years, 50 Cent has been dropping hints about Diddy's questionable behavior, but now, with the release of his Netflix documentary, the full scope of those accusations has finally come to light. And it's not just Diddy's legal team scrambling to contain the damage the entire hip-hop world is watching as the walls close in around the Bad Boy Records founder.
Just keep changing the top layer. You got to do some real internal work, and you have all the money, all the resources to have access to the best everything. Stop spending the money and using the resources to attempt to cover up your lies, and start using the money and the resources to deal with your truth.
In recent months, the allegations surrounding Diddy have shifted from whispered rumors to front-page news. Multiple lawsuits, federal charges, and the involvement of top legal authorities have turned this once celebrated icon into a man fighting for his freedom. The documentary produced by 50 Cent serves as a culmination of years of tension between the two moguls, but this isn't just about a petty celebrity feud. This is about unveiling a shocking series of events that could change everything we thought we knew about Diddy's legacy.
The documentary, I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G-Unit movie. And
let's backtrack for a moment. Diddy's public persona has always been larger-than-life glitz, glamour, endless parties, and hit after hit. He built an empire from the ground up, turning Bad Boy Records into a dominant force in the music industry. He's been a businessman, a fashion icon, and a producer responsible for launching some of the biggest careers in music. But behind the flashing lights and expensive suits, there's always been an undercurrent of rumors suggesting something darker was lurking beneath the surface.
Saw in that video totally eviscerated his credibility.
It all started to unravel late last year when Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, dropped a legal bombshell, a lawsuit accusing him of years of psychological torment, manipulation, and coercion. So the news sent shockwaves through the industry. Cassie, who had been with Diddy for over a decade, had long been seen as his glamorous partner, accompanying him to high-profile events and appearing in public as part of his inner circle. But her lawsuit painted a completely different picture. According to the legal documents, their relationship was far from the fairy tale image that had been portrayed in the media. Instead, Cassie alleged that Diddy controlled every aspect of her life and used his power and influence to push her into situations she didn't want to be in.
Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence. But
within days of Cassie's lawsuit going public, more accusations began to surface. So other women came forward with their own stories, each more disturbing than the last. But it wasn't just women making allegations. Diddy's former employees also began speaking out, describing a toxic environment filled with fear and intimidation. One insider claimed everyone knew what was going on, but no one dared to speak out. If you crossed him, your career was over. As these revelations piled up, the press began to dig deeper into Diddy's past, and what they found was chilling. Reports dating back decades began to emerge, with individuals from various parts of the entertainment industry coming forward to confirm what had been whispered about in industry circles for years. So there were stories of private parties where Diddy allegedly indulged in behavior that crossed every imaginable line. According to some sources, these gatherings were not your average celebrity events. They were meticulously planned spectacles that involved some of the most influential names in the business. And with 50 Cent's documentary, those stories were finally being given the platform they deserved.
Nor did you apologize for lying that you didn't do what you knew you was on tape doing. So who was this apology for? I'll tell you who it was for. Diddy's ego. Diddy's brand. Diddy and his handlers are looking at this all wrong. You trying to stop
50 Cent, who has never shied away from controversy or calling people out publicly, had been dropping hints about Diddy's questionable behavior long before these legal cases went mainstream. But whether it was through his scathing social media posts or interviews where he made veiled references to the type of parties Diddy allegedly hosted, 50 had been signaling for years that something wasn't right in Diddy's world. But for the longest time, these claims were dismissed as part of a long-standing feud between the two. After all, Diddy and 50 Cent have been at odds for nearly 2 decades, with both trading public jabs over everything from business deals to personal beefs.
Nah, I just see I see him one day that I know for a fact he'll be behind bars. So it don't matter what he do now.
But 50 wasn't playing around this time. The documentary he produces for Netflix is more than just a hit piece on his rival. It's a meticulously researched expose that pulls together years of allegations, insider testimonies, and leaked documents. The production team reportedly interviewed dozens of people who had either worked for Diddy or been involved in his social circles over the years. Many of these individuals had stayed silent for fear of retribution, but with the growing mountain of legal troubles facing Diddy, they were finally ready to speak out. As one former associate reportedly told the filmmakers, it was only a matter of time before this all came crashing down.
And we are getting word that that these accusers could soon testify in front of a grand jury in New York, and that one accuser is from Detroit.
And crash down it did. The most explosive allegations against Diddy involve his alleged connections to illegal activities that stretch back decades. Some of these accusations are tied to events that occurred during the height of his career when Bad Boy Records was dominating the charts. But what shocked many was the systematic nature of the claims. So the eyes weren't isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern of behavior that, according to the documentary, involved not only Diddy, but a network of individuals who helped facilitate his actions.
I think industry talk, there's a lot of people who, who have worked for him. There's been stories around, which is, not necessarily unusual.
One of the most damning parts of 50 Cent documentary is the focus on Diddy's inner circle, those closest to him who allegedly turned a blind eye to what was happening. Some sources claim that Diddy relied on a group of trusted confidants to handle the messy aspects of his personal life, ensuring that certain events were kept out of the public eye. There are even suggestions that some of his associates may have participated in or enabled the behavior that is now the subject of federal investigations.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named.
But how did Diddy manage to keep these allegations under wraps for so long? According to 50 Cent's documentary, the answer lies in the sheer power and influence that Diddy wielded within the entertainment industry. Over the years, he built relationships with some of the most powerful people in Hollywood, the music industry, and even politics. He used his connections to maintain a public image of success and respectability, all while allegedly hiding a much darker side of his life. It's a strategy that worked for decades until now.
And I'm gonna tell you why 50 is literally a diabolical genius. And he's...
The turning point came when federal authorities began taking the allegations against Diddy seriously. Following the lawsuits and increasing public scrutiny, the FBI and other agencies launched investigations into Diddy's activities, resulting in raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami. According to insiders, investigators were looking for evidence that would corroborate the allegations made in the various lawsuits, including electronic records, financial documents, and surveillance footage. What they found, according to leaked reports, was enough to push the case into the public spotlight, leading to Diddy's arrest on charges that included conspiracy and other serious offenses.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
So as news of Diddy's legal troubles spread, 50 Cent didn't hold back. He took to social media, posting cryptic messages and memes that further fanned the flames of speculation. One post, in particular, stood out a photoshopped image of Diddy next to a bottle labeled Diddy Oil, a jab referencing the reports that authorities had seized over 1,000 bottles of suspicious substances during the raids. I've been telling Wall about this weird stuff, 50 Cent wrote in the caption. Now you believe me?
They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
For Diddy, the timing of the documentary couldn't have been worse. Not only was he facing legal battles on multiple fronts, but his reputation was also taking a beating in the court of public opinion. So while some of his closest allies initially stood by him, cracks in his support network quickly began to show. A list of celebrities who once publicly praised Diddy began to distance themselves, and major brands quietly pulled back from partnerships. So one source claimed that some of the biggest names in the industry had been advised to cut ties with Diddy to avoid being caught up in the unfolding scandal.
And I said, because they know, if something crazy is going on, if they send it to me, I'll make sure it get out there, as far as this 50.com is concerned.
And it wasn't just the entertainment industry that was feeling the ripple effects Diddy's influence extended far beyond music. and his fall from grace was sending shockwaves through the world of business and philanthropy as well. For years, he had portrayed himself as a self-made entrepreneur who had built his empire through hard work and determination. But with 50 Cent's documentary casting a harsh light on his alleged misconduct, many were beginning to question the legitimacy of his success.
Notes. Not only should he have apologized to Cassie in that video, he should have apologized to all of the general public that he lied to.
So what is in this documentary that has everyone talking? According to reports, the film doesn't just focus on the legal cases currently making headlines. It goes back decades, tracing Diddy's rise to fame and examining the rumors that have surrounded him since the 1990s. One of the most controversial elements of the documentary is its exploration of Diddy's relationships with other high-profile figures in the music industry, some of whom it's suggested might have been complicit in covering up his behavior. While the documentary doesn't name names, it strongly implies that certain individuals knew what was happening but chose to look the other way in exchange for career benefits or financial rewards.
And there has been a lot going on. Since November, there have been 8 civil lawsuits filed against Diddy. 7 of them accuse him of assault.
At the center of the documentary is the idea that Diddy used his wealth and power to manipulate those around him, creating an environment where he could act without fear of consequences. But as more victims come forward and the legal cases against him pile up, it's becoming clear that the days of Diddy being untouchable are over.
I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody to find out what's really been going on in the background.
And that's where the story takes a turn, because this isn't just about Diddy's personal downfall. It's about the larger implications for the hip-hop world and the music industry as a whole. As more revelations come to light, the question is no longer just about what Diddy did, but about how the entire industry allowed it to happen. This brings us to the broader cultural impact of 50 Cent, that documentary, a topic that goes beyond the personal beef between 2 of hip-hop's biggest names. How will the revelations in this documentary reshape the way we view the legacy of one of the most influential figures in music? And what does this mean for the future of an industry that has long been plagued by its own dark secrets?
My initial reaction, because that's how I always feel when I see situations like this. And then there's this weird sense of grief, because it is Diddy, right? Diddy is a hip-hop hero. He's an ordinary person who did extraordinary things. To sit here and act like the man wasn't a huge part of our upbringing is a damn lie. So there's this weird sense of grief, like another one of our heroes has ruined their legacy and it's their own fault because of poor choices.
But here's the thing, this Netflix documentary is about much more than just exposing Diddy's alleged wrongdoings. It's shaking up the entire hip-hop world, leaving everyone asking, what does this mean for the culture? We all know that hip-hop has always been more than just music. It's a lifestyle, a movement, and for decades, Diddy was at the very heart of it all. So when someone of his stature faces this kind of public unraveling, it raises questions not just about him, but about the whole industry, and 50 Cent knows this better than anyone.
That he walks away clean from this, that everything is dropped and he faces no charges or any prison time?
Not impossible. I mean, anything is possible, but I don't see that happening. I see him kind of going the path of R. Kelly, where again, for so many decades, he was able to act with impunity and just, with harming so many, young women.
So let's get one thing straight, 50 Cent isn't just trying to settle an old score with Diddy. And this is about sending shockwaves through an industry that has long protected its most powerful figures, often at the expense of those left in their wake. And while the allegations against Diddy are front and center, what's happening now could have repercussions far beyond his personal empire. For years, the hip-hop industry has operated with a kind of unspoken code where the darker sides of the business, especially the things happening behind closed doors, were ignored or swept under the rug. But 50 Cent's documentary is flipping that script. It's saying no more. For those who have followed 50 Cent's career, is no nonsense. Tell it like it is persona has always been part of his brand. He's never been one to shy away from speaking his mind, and this documentary is no exception. In fact, it almost feels like 50's been preparing for this moment for years, dropping hints and calling out questionable behavior in the industry, especially when it comes to Diddy. For long before these lawsuits and criminal charges came to light, 50 was warning people about the weird energy surrounding Diddy's infamous parties and the people in his orbit. And now, with this Netflix deal, he's doing what no one else dared to do, turning those rumors into a full-fledged investigation.
Rick, bro, I'm gonna your life for fun. There's a few times. This is not new.
But here's the kicker. This isn't just about what 50 Cent is saying, it's about how he's saying it. 50 knows how to play the media game better than anyone, and he's been using his social media presence to build anticipation for the documentary for months. Every cryptic post, every meme, every jab at Diddy has been leading up to this moment. It's all been part of a larger strategy to keep the public's eyes on this story, to make sure people are paying attention. And let's be real, 50 Cent's social media trolling is legendary at this point. So he's been poking at Diddy for years, calling him out for everything from his personal life to his business moves. So when Diddy's legal trouble started to pile up, it wasn't exactly a surprise that 50 Cent would be the one to take things to the next level.
So why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Now, let's not forget the historical context here. 50 and Diddy's feud isn't some new beef that just popped up out of nowhere. This rivalry goes back nearly 2 decades to a time when both of them were battling for dominance in the hip-hop world. Diddy, with his flashy image and larger-than-life persona, was already a household name, while 50 Cent was the gritty underdog who fought his way to the top with hits like Da Club and his now iconic debut album. Both of them built their careers in very different ways. Diddy from the boardroom with a mix of music, fashion, and business savvy, and 50 from the streets with his raw lyrics and no-holds-barred attitude. But here's the thing that makes this feud even more intense. While Diddy was known for his glitzy parties and illicit connections, 50 Cent was always the guy who was willing to call out the fakeness in the industry. He didn't care about rubbing shoulders with the elite or playing nice to keep the money flowing. And that's exactly why people are paying attention to what he has to say now. It's not just about the allegations, it's about 50 Cent being the guy who's willing to take down the so-called untouchable figures of the music industry, no matter the cost.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
And it's not just the public that's watching closely. Behind the scenes, industry insiders are scrambling. Record labels are reportedly making contingency plans, bracing for the potential fallout from these revelations. According to whispers coming out of Hollywood, there are at least a handful of executives who are sweating bullets right now, wondering if their names will come up in connection to Diddy's alleged activities. After all, it's no secret that many of these execs have long-standing relationships with the mogul, and the fear is that this documentary will shine a light on the darker side of those connections.
Okay, this is what I mean when I say people wake up every day and just volunteer lies. Diddy, how are we supposed to believe anything that comes out of your mouth? And furthermore, why should we not believe the rumors of things going in your mouth when you out here volunteering bold-faced lies? You would still be lying to us right now if it was no video. You didn't even apologize to Cassian.
One source close to the situation reportedly said, there are at least 5 top-level executives who have been advised to lawyer up, just in case things get worse. These labels know how damaging this could be if any new information comes out. And that's the thing, this isn't just about Diddy anymore. If the allegations laid out in 50 Cent's documentary are even half true, we're looking at a situation where other powerful figures in the music industry might be dragged down alongside him. It's a domino effect that could topple some of the biggest names in the business.
Don't trust nobody. In Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
So 50 Cent isn't stopping there. He's bringing some of his most influential allies into the conversation as well. Take Eminem, for example, one of the few people in the hip-hop industry who has remained relatively clean when it comes to scandals. So, when it comes to this documentary, all eyes are on where Eminem stands. According to some sources, the rapper has distanced himself from Diddy for years. And it's no coincidence that his name is being thrown around now that 50 is putting the pressure on. But it's not just Eminem. Nicki Minaj, who has had her own ups and downs in the industry, has also expressed her support for 50 Cent. She once said in an interview, 50 is a blueprint for what resilience looks like. And that's the point. 50's got credibility in the eyes of his peers. He's not just a social media troll looking for attention. He's a guy who built an empire from nothing and has always been straight up about calling out the wrongs he sees in the industry. So when someone like 50 Cent decides to take on someone as powerful as Diddy, it sends a message. It's a moment of reckoning, not just for Diddy, but for the entire culture.
50's
with Fifth. Y'all don't even, Fifth
play around if you want to.
Fifth is different.
And he's on tour. He ain't even in a...
But here's the kicker while Diddy is fighting for his freedom in court. The hip-hop world is being forced to reckon with the fact that its culture of silence might finally be coming to an end. For years, there's been this sense that certain figures in the industry were untouchable, that no matter what they did, their power and influence would protect them. But with 50 Cent shining a spotlight on Diddy's alleged misdeeds, that cloak of invincibility is starting to crumble.
And I understand that it may be more attention than you usually get, but it'll be the kind of attention that when it goes away, you go away completely. Like there's no.
And you know what? It's about time. The documentary raises questions that go beyond just Diddy's personal behavior. It's making people think about the entire system that allowed this kind of behavior to go unchecked for so long. How many others in the industry turned a blind eye? How many people knew what was happening but chose to stay quiet because they didn't want to rock the boat? These are the questions that 50 Cent's documentary is forcing people to confront, and they're not easy ones to answer.
There's nobody in control of me. Like, I do what I want to do. So I'm deciding to your life.
Now let's talk about the broader impact this could have on hip-hop's legacy. For years, hip-hop has been about speaking truth out, speaking truth to power, and about giving a voice to the voiceless. But what happens when one of the most powerful figures in the industry is accused of silencing those very voices? What happens when the culture that's supposed to represent freedom and authenticity is tainted by allegations of exploitation and corruption? These are the kinds of questions that fans, artists, and industry insiders are grappling with right now.
So that's just competitive.
Competitiveness.
All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him.
Okay,
like
damn. All right, I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
Then. All right, okay.
And let's not forget the role that the media is playing in all of this. 50 Cent's documentary isn't just a piece of entertainment, it's a moment of cultural significance. It's being talked about in the same breath as other groundbreaking exposes that have shaken up industries, like documentaries that took down powerful figures in Hollywood or politics. And it's clear that the media landscape is changing, and figures like 50 Cent are using their platforms to challenge the old guard. This isn't just about selling a story, it's about rewriting the narrative, about holding powerful people accountable in a way that hasn't been done before. So what's next for Diddy? Well, the legal battles are far from over. And as the documentary continues to gain traction, more people are likely to come forward with their own stories. It's a snowball effect that could lead to even more explosive revelations in the weeks and months to come. And while Diddy's team is doing everything they can to contain the damage, there's a sense that the tide has already turned. The public is watching, and they're not going to look away anytime soon.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jay. But this isn't just about Diddy's personal downfall, it's about the ripple effects it's having throughout the entire entertainment industry. Record labels are making moves behind the scenes, distancing themselves from anyone even remotely connected to the scandal. Some of Diddy's closest collaborators are rethinking their associations, wondering if their names will be dragged into the mix. Even the brands that once proudly partnered with Diddy are quietly reassessing their relationships.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
As one industry investor put it, this is a moment of reckoning for everyone. No one wants to be the next name on the list, so people are scrambling to clean up their own acts before it's too late. It's a shift that's been a long time coming, and it's clear that 50 Cent's documentary is just the beginning of what could be a massive cultural shift in the music world. So as the world watches this drama unfold, one thing is for sure, this isn't the end of the story. If anything, it's just the beginning. The ripple effects of this documentary are already being felt, and the hip-hop world is bracing for what's next. And will more secrets come to light? Will other powerful figures face their own reckoning? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned.